Ladies and gentlemen, if childhood plants the seed of ambition, then youth is the storm that tests its roots. It is in those unpredictable, turbulent years that dreams either wither or deepen their hold in the soil of determination. For our young dreamer, the transition from boyhood into adolescence was not gentle. It was not cushioned with privilege, nor softened by opportunity. Instead, it was a battlefield of failures, lessons, and survival. The weight of early failures. At the age of 13, he encountered his first public failure. A school debate, small in the grand scheme of life, but monumental in the eyes of a boy who dared to step forward. He had prepared tirelessly, reading late into the night, rehearsing words in front of a cracked mirror. And yet, when the moment arrived, nerves suffocated him. His voice trembled, his mind blanked, and the laughter of peers echoed louder than any applause could. For days, he replayed that humiliation. It carved a wound of self-doubt that whispered, "Perhaps they were right. Perhaps you are not meant for more." And yet, failure, though painful, has a strange power. It forces a decision, retreat into obscurity, or rise with resilience. He chose the latter. Though he never forgot the sting of that defeat, he made a silent vow. I will never again be unprepared for the moment that could define me. This is the essence of youth struggles, small failures that feel enormous, but which, if harnessed correctly, build the muscle of persistence. Education amidst scarcity. Schooling was itself a challenge. His classmates arrived with new textbooks, neatly pressed uniforms, and lunches packed with care. He, however, carried second-hand books with pages scribbled by previous owners. His uniform bore the faded threads of years past, his shoes patched more times than he could count. He often felt invisible in the classroom, overlooked by teachers who unconsciously gave more attention to students from well-off families. And yet, invisibility became his strength. Because while others sought validation, he sought knowledge. Education was not, for him, a privilege, it was survival. He studied not simply to pass exams, but to break chains. Every equation solved, every essay written, every history lesson absorbed was not just an academic task. It was a weapon against the limitations that surrounded him. Hey, dear friends, is a universal truth. When education is pursued with hunger, it ceases to be an obligation and becomes liberation. Working to survive. Outside the classroom, survival was not theoretical, it was practical. His family's financial struggles meant that from the age of 14, he had to contribute. He worked evenings at a local shop, stocking shelves and sweeping floors. He worked weekends at a small cafe, washing dishes until his hands were raw. There were times when exhaustion wrapped around him like a heavy blanket. He would attend school with weary eyes, his mind clouded with fatigue. Yet, what might have broken another young soul only sharpened his own. He learnt, very early, that comfort is a luxury, but discipline is a necessity. And while his peers enjoyed teenage leisure, football matches, late-night outings, and carefree laughter, he learnt the harsh rhythm of responsibility. He understood something most adults only realize too late, that life does not hand you opportunities, it demands you create them. Loneliness of the different. To carry a dream in youth is to carry a weight that others cannot see. He often felt alone, isolated by his ambitions. His friends could not understand why he spent nights reading books about entrepreneurs instead of watching television. They teased him for his seriousness, for his refusal to follow the crowd. But here lies a secret that every successful individual eventually learns. Loneliness is not a curse. It is the price of distinction. To dream differently is to walk differently. And in youth, this often feels like exile. Yet, exile builds clarity. In those quiet, lonely evenings, while others chased temporary pleasures, he was chasing permanence. He was crafting a vision of a future so compelling that the sting of isolation paled in comparison. Confronting rejection. At 15, he applied for a scholarship, a chance to study at a better school, to escape the confines of limitation. He wrote his application with hope burning in every word, only to receive a polite rejection letter. For many, this would have been the end. But for him, it was fuel. He learned an important truth. A closed door is not a final verdict. It is merely redirection. Instead of surrendering, he sought alternative routes. He volunteered at the library, gaining access to resources others overlooked. He attended free community workshops, absorbing knowledge that money could not buy. Where one door closed, he forced another open. The battle within, the greatest struggle of youth, however, was not financial nor academic. It was internal. Self-doubt shadowed him at every step. Questions haunted him. Am I good enough? Am I wasting my time? What if I fail and prove them right? This internal dialogue is familiar to every young dreamer. It is the silent war waged in the minds of those who dare to imagine more. And victory does not come overnight. It comes slowly, through persistence, through small wins, through the gradual accumulation of evidence that whispers, "Yes, you can." He won this battle not by silencing doubt entirely, but by refusing to let it dictate his actions. Courage, after all, is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. The first glimpse of leadership. By 16, something remarkable began to happen. Teachers who once overlooked him noticed his determination. Classmates who once mocked him began asking for his help in studies. Slowly, he shifted from being the invisible boy to being a quiet leader. This was not leadership of arrogance, but of service. He shared his notes. He tutored those who struggled. He encouraged those who felt overlooked. And in doing so, he discovered a truth that would guide his future. True leadership is not about commanding others, but about lifting them. A life of sacrifice. While others saved money for trainers, gadgets, or outings, he saved for books and courses. While others indulged in leisure, he invested in growth. These sacrifices were not easy. There were nights when he longed to be carefree, to laugh without the burden of responsibility. But he reminded himself of his promise, the vow written in his notebook years earlier. And so, he pressed on. Each sacrifice became a brick in the foundation of a future no one else could see but him. The lesson of struggles. By the time he reached the cusp of adulthood, he was not yet a billionaire. He had no wealth, no fame, no company to his name. But he had something infinitely more valuable. He had been forged by struggle. He had failed and risen. He had studied under pressure. He had worked for survival. He had faced rejection, endured loneliness, and made sacrifices. And these, my friends, are the unseen qualifications of success. For youth is not meant to be easy. It is meant to test, to break, to build. And only those who embrace the struggle emerge ready for the responsibilities of greatness. So what do we learn from his struggles of youth? 1. Failure is not a verdict. It is a rehearsal for success. 2. Education, when pursued with hunger, liberates more than it instructs. 3. Survival work is not wasted time. It is character training. 4. Loneliness is the companion of dreamers. Embrace it. 5. Rejection redirects. It never defines. 6. Sacrifice today becomes strength tomorrow. His youth was not glamorous. It was hard, uncelebrated, often unnoticed. But it was here, in the crucible of struggle, that he learnt the lessons that money could never buy. As we close this chapter, remember this: the struggles of youth are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to prepare you. And if you endure them with resilience, they will become the very stories that inspire others long after you have risen.